One of the big PlayStation 5 launch titles will be Godfall, and now we finally got a new look at the game thanks to the PlayStation 5 event. And I agree the music choice was not ideal, but the trailer still gave us a way better idea of what this game will be about. And then a few days later, we actually got new PC footage that also showed way more about this third-person RPG. We also learned about the amount of armor sets in the game, the weapon styles, and way more. So a lot to talk about, let's get into it. A like on the video would be super appreciated, and let's go. As you might know, there is a June giveaway going on right now on the channel for a 2020 game of your choice on your platform of choice. Just click the link in the pinned comment and be a subscriber of the channel if you want to participate, and I will reach out to the winner in early July. One of the things in Godfall that immediately jumps out are the armor sets that the characters are using. We saw 3 of them already in the reveal. They are called Valor Plates. And the gameplay also only focused on these 3 starter gear sets. Because as I told you before, we pick one of those at the start, but if you then want the other Valor Plate as well, you can get them by farming in the game. And they do not only look cool, but some of the abilities that we see the characters use seem to be connected to these armor sets. Here we see an ability from the lion-like silver mane Valor Plate that has these floating swords appear that you can then throw to the enemies. And this is likely an ultimate style ability because the whole armor set glows and your weapons disappear as well. And we briefly see another one of those at the start of the PC footage, although it's hard to see which Valor Plate this is. While if we look at other abilities, we do not see this glow at all. Here we see the silver mane Valor Plate do a whirlwind with blades around him, although this might be linked to the dual blades as well. But a little later in the footage we really see an ability that is linked to this Valor Plate, where we see him dash towards a target, rushing, dealing multiple strikes. So I would imagine that every Valor Plate has different perks to make it stand out, and this lion-like Valor Plate seems to have a cool combination of focusing on one target, but can also do some AoE attacks. And not sure if this is an ability that is linked to the armor set, but here we see the silver mane come out of this green-like tornado, looking pretty sweet. The white armor set that we do not have a name for yet might be a little faster, because we see it do like a small sprint here after activating an ability. Hard to say right now how many of these abilities we can expect per Valor Plate and how many things are linked to weapons instead, so that you can use them with every Valor Plate. But we did learn now that there will be 12 Valor Plates in the game. Divine Zodiac inspired suits of armor that empower you to shred every enemy between you and Macros. So again, the gameplay is mostly focused on the 3 we get at the start, but they did tease a 4th armor set that might be my favorite so far. This dog, or actually more Anubis inspired set with a lot of feathers from the looks of it. Yeah, I will totally be grinding to get that one, and overall I like how every armor set, even if it's like the first one you can get, already looks like most endgame gear that we see in other games. Like, yes, let me immediately look awesome, I'm all for that. I think the worlds look very appealing too. Do not expect an open world to explore or anything. No, they seem to be very linear levels in the different realms. In the PC trailer, they noted that we should expect the Earth, Water, Air and Fire realm. Although, a little earlier when the game was announced, we learned in a PlayStation Lifestyle article that there would be a Spirit realm too. So they either remove that realm or want to keep that now as a surprise. But yeah, overall they really look quite different, and I love the high fantasy touches, huge statues, flying objects, but we can also expect detailed indoor areas or the more typical forest areas in the Earth realm, and a battlefield at some point with a siege weapon. I'm really curious how the world building will be like, if there will be ways to learn more about what is going on, because so far we really haven't seen anything that indicates that this game has any kind of story. Although when playing this game in co-op with up to 2 friends, it's actually kind of nice to not have any dialogue, so you can immediately jump into the action. But when playing alone, it is of course nice to learn more about the world. There will be cutscenes though, like we see a collapsed building, something we also saw in the reveal trailer, and this reveal trailer is actually a cutscene from the main game. But overall, the cutscenes seem to be there to introduce awesome looking enemies and sometimes sometimes large bosses, because at the end of each realm we should expect a mad god waiting for us, so like a huge boss, and I would not be surprised if the creature that we saw at the end of the reveal trailer is one of those bosses. This cutscene namely plays after we have cleared the Earth realm and then go to the Water realm, well, after killing this enemy likely. But yeah, there will be smaller mid-bosses in the game too, like we see a guy jump down in the PS5 footage, and then we have a tease of this fight at the end of the PC gameplay. And likely after we take this enemy out, the gate behind him should open. And taking out enemies will be a combination of the gear we have and the stats. And we actually saw quite a lot of drops on the ground already in the PC footage. They call this game a looter slasher, so it makes sense that we see a ton of drops. Gray is likely the worst possible gear, right? We also see a ton of yellow drops. Normally those are quite good gear pieces, so maybe it's money that we see right here. And then later on we see some green drops as well. They haven't shared too many details on how the loot will work, but we now see that every drop on the ground looks the same, so we actually have to pick it up to see what the item is, although I hope that we can immediately see it and also switch gear on the fly, and not that it's like Anthem where you have to go back to your base first. So hopefully we see some unedited gameplay at some point to give us a better idea of what the UI will look like. Right now all we see is the lock-on system with like the dots glowing on the enemy. So again, your gear is important and that will be one of the drives to keep playing this game, I would imagine, but your skill, like how good you are at the game, will also be super important. So even if you have the best weapons in the game, you still need to find the right moments to strike or dodge incoming attacks, and I really love how you can slide in this game to dodge away. So then you actually move pretty far, and we also see another variant of this in the white armor. So maybe dodges are linked to your Valor plate or maybe to your weapon. There will be 5 different weapon styles in the game, each with unique playstyles and a variety of longswords, pole arms, warhammers, greatswords and dual blades. And I think we saw all of them in action in the new footage, especially the dual blades got a ton of love, and they seem to be able to pull enemies towards you, so then you can instantly start hitting them. But we also see the warhammer in action with a dodge and then a huge slam. You can also use a shield with the warhammer, and that's not really weird though, because every character seems to have a shield no matter what weapon you use. And I totally think that they took a cue from God of War, not only because of the look of this pop-out shield, but also how we can use it. Like, it only seems to appear during certain actions, like a block or when doing one of the special shield abilities. Like we have a special shield bash on the ground, or a shield blast that also kind of reminds me of God of War, or a hard slam in someone's face. You can also smack it on the ground as part of a combo from the looks of it. I'm not sure if this charge is linked to a weapon or the shield, but it seems to be linked to a weapon. And overall the swords have some awesome moves, or this smash on the ground dealing some AoE damage. We see the pole arm just briefly in action. This seems to be the slowest weapon, although it's likely comparable to the warhammer. And we also see very briefly that one character switches between weapons, so we can likely equip 2 or maybe more weapons at the same time and then switch between them depending on the situation. And I really like that, because the weapons seem quite different, so you want to use a heavy weapon on a slower target, while maybe the dual blades are smarter against a faster target, for example. And I've said it before, this will not be a huge AAA game like we see from big publishers like Ubisoft or EA, so it's good to keep that in mind. I'm not sure if it will be full priced. I think they will go for that. And then I hope that it has enough content, especially endgame content is super important for games like this. They do talk about the Tower of Trials in the press release, and challenge yourself against the toughest foes and earn a top tier loot. So maybe that's their version of the end game, like a big tower that we have to advance. I'm already like pretty happy with the amount of different enemies that we see. Like, there are quite a lot, and that's also super important in a game like this, when you will likely be replaying a lot of missions over and over again. And the graphics look of course awesome, especially if you watch the PS5 trailer in 4K. Totally do that if you haven't already. I'm using the 4K trailer here, but it's still 1080p, so I still think it's worth the watch if you haven't already. And I will totally be keeping an eye out and let you know when we got more Godfall details. So totally subscribe for way more on this game. Like the video to support the channel. And you can check out my in-depth video on the new Horizon Forbidden West trailer by clicking on the screen. For now though, I will speak to you next time. Again, check the giveaway in the pinned comments, and goodbye.